Imagine a pharmacy career where every moment could be life and death. Well, that's what a poison control pharmacist has to deal with. And in toxicology, they may have to deal with some things that you don't know about, like a 12-hour shift or being on call, or the fact that sometimes you're not paid as well as your other pharmacy brethren. Well, despite those things, it could be a satisfying career path for you. Hi, I'm Alex. If you've never been here before, welcome to our channel. At the Happy PharmD, we talk about all things pharmacy careers, and in this video, we're diving into poison control pharmacy or toxicology, the salary expectations you should have, the job market demand, the job satisfaction, and the flexibility of this career path. So with that out of the way, let's get into what is poison control pharmacist. What do they do? Well, I remember when I was driving my 4-year-old on a car trip, and halfway through, she was playing with her little neon light up toy. And sure enough, she figured out how to chew her way through and get some of that nasty liquid in her mouth. Very frightened that this could be a toxic situation, I remember calling a poison control center and speaking with a pharmacist. And luckily, my child was absolutely fine, but this is one of the roles that poison control pharmacists do. They're pharmacy professionals with the knowledge and expertise to provide education to patients or providers on whether a substance is toxic. They may be involved in medication reviews or looking at how different medications interact with each other. They could be involved with something like the CDC or other government organizations, analyzing how drugs interact with each other. Or they may just provide the point of contact for when a patient is calling in and saying, hey, should I be worried? Like, I just ate 3 dozen Adderalls on accident. What do I do? Toxicology pharmacists can work places like poison control centers, hospitals, health departments, and even inside industry. While we didn't find any exact numbers of the number of pharmacists inside this industry, we did find some job titles for you to be looking up if you're interested in this. They are things like poison control pharmacist, poison information pharmacist, and clinical toxicology pharmacist. What sort of salary expectations should you expect if you go down this route? What do you think? I'm always curious about expectations here for salary, but according to our research, it's not that much different from the typical pharmacist. So the average poison control pharmacist salary, according to ZipRecruiter, was $126. That's just about the average for just about any pharmacist job. Not any different, really. When you look up the word toxicology pharmacist, it was higher at $129, according to ZipRecruiter. I wonder if that's because toxicology sounds more scientific, so you're going to get paid more. I don't know. Seems silly to me. One job we found in Minneapolis had a $60 to $73 an hour job. So that roughly equates to about $120 to $146. It's not bad. One thing to note about toxicology in this field is that many pharmacists report a lower salary than other pharmacists in other industries because there are multiple other professionals that practice almost in the same role as pharmacists do, and that is nurses. Traditionally, nurses are paid lower than pharmacists because of technically the less education and expertise that they have. But one of the reasons why toxicology pharmacists report lower salary is because nurses apply to the same kind of positions that pharmacists do. And because they are paid less typically within the job market, you may expect a lower pay in this industry. So to sum this up, toxicology pharmacists are paid about the same amount as any other pharmacist. You may see lower in some places because nursing may apply for similar jobs. Because of that reason, I'm just going to give this score a 5 out of 10. It's middle of the road. It's not great. It's not bad. And 6 figures is still nice for an individual, right? Not too many people complaining when you make 6 figures. Unless you live in crazy places like California or New York. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, guys. It's way too expensive. Way too expensive. By the way, if you want to stay updated on all things pharmacy careers, I would encourage you to subscribe so that, you just get this content all the time. Wouldn't that be awesome? So how satisfied are these kinds of pharmacists? We couldn't find any real specific information for pharmacists who practice in this field, probably because there's not a ton. I mean, I would be shocked if there's more than 1,000 or even 1,500 pharmacists practicing within this profession. One thing to note though is, how do patients like interacting with this field. Companies are often very obsessed with customer reviews. And usually when customers are happy with a service, they report happy things because the people are happy and they're engaged. We found one report where people had glowing reviews about how poison control pharmacists impacted their lives. For anecdotal and unverified evidence, we can turn to Reddit, and lots of pharmacists within poison control report being very happy with what they do. We found lots of comments on Reddit, and one pharmacist said, "Inpatients suck sometimes, but at least it's shift work, and when you're off, you're actually off." Clearly, they weren't on call. Another pharmacist said, "I work in home care and it's great." One pharmacist who was claiming to be a director of a poison control center said that they loved it, but yes, that pay was lower, and he or she wishes that they could hire more pharmacists within poison control centers. We looked at a few Glassdoor company reviews of seeing what people in these facilities said, and one hospital that had a poison control had a lot of ratings. Over 1,500 people rated it as a 4.0. That's incredible given that many reviews. While one facility that was a actual poison control center only 23 people, unfortunately, but they gave it a 2.7. Definitely not very happy. I think poison control or toxicology pharmacy offers a lot of really potentially satisfying work that unfortunately could be negatively or positively influenced by the workplace. And it's very specific. It's very hard to say what job won't make you happy. But I think most pharmacists in general would enjoy this kind of work. Given this dynamic workplace setting where pharmacists are practicing things that they really would enjoy, I'm going to give the score a solid 6 out of 10. So should you expect a huge job market demand in this field? Well, when we looked up the title Poison Control Pharmacist on Indeed, we only found 70 plus jobs. Now for you, when you're looking, there's actually a really great opportunity here because 100% of the jobs that we found were entry-level positions. It has never been that high so far in any of the careers that we've done this research on before. This means that it's easier to get into in comparison to other fields where they're asking for more experienced candidates. But when we look for jobs that were paying over $120,000 on ZipRecruiter, we only found 2 jobs available. This kind of highlights the fact that the whole having nurses in this field decreases the salary expectations. But what about the market demand at large? Where do we think this is all going? Well, according to one report, we found that the average number of deaths from drug overdoses, unfortunately, has been increasing steadily year over year. From 2021 to 2022, there was a 15% increase in deaths, and we're talking in the tens of thousands. It's not great. But unfortunately, because of this problem, it creates a demand for a solution, which of course is pharmacists and nurses helping in these poison control centers. The more deaths we have, or even near deaths, that much more likely people will be calling in these centers and needing the help from specialists. Another factor we like to look at is, are there any sign-on bonuses? Because when a bonus is present with a job opportunity, it's highly likely that these jobs are in demand and that they're having a harder time getting qualified candidates to walk through their doors and interview for these positions. So companies offer money in order to entice you and me to apply. And we found quite a few, actually. We found one job that was offering a $10K sign-on bonus. So there's a growing demand probably in this field, but there's not a ton of positions here. I mean, we're talking maybe 1,000 to 1,500 people in this profession actively practicing. Given these reasons and expecting maybe more to be open and available over the coming years, I would give this a solid 6 out of 10 score. And now for the final factor, flexibility. How easy is it to get into? Is it a nice work schedule? Is it giving you the work-life balance that you want? Well, there's a couple factors here to break down. First, let's talk about working hours. You may have to expect here bad shifts getting into it. You may do a 12-hour shift. You may have 8-hour shifts here and there at different facilities, but you should expect maybe you have to take a night shift. After all, these kinds of shifts are usually the ones that people want the least. If you love it, go for this. You don't need a residency. You don't need a certification to get into this. Those things may help, but you don't need them in order to get started. Poison control centers, by their very nature, are open 24/7. And so getting into this field, you may have to expect working midnight shift. And while that may mean like less demanding schedule, although truthfully, I don't know when to expect when you'd get the most calls in a poison control center, you may have to deal with having a wonky sleep schedule. And since you're a healthcare professional, you know the dangers of night shift work. You know the consequences that it will have on your body or your mental health. So please keep this in mind if you're considering it. You potentially could be on call in one of these positions, but on the plus side, some of these positions are going remote or they're even hybrid. To me, that's great. And like I said before, we didn't find a single job in our search on Indeed that demanded experience to get into this. Fantastic, that means it's easy. And we also saw in our LinkedIn review that barely anyone is applying through LinkedIn to these jobs. In some other fields like pharma, we're seeing well over hundreds of applications for those jobs. I did a review of a little over 10 jobs on LinkedIn, and I only found 3 jobs that required a pharmacist. So this means to me that you're going to be competing with nurses. This could be a good thing in terms of like being able to outshine them through value and what you bring to the table. And on the flip side of it, you may have to expect a lower salary because of the position. Putting this all together, given the fact that you may have to be working not so great hours, you may be on call, but on the flip side, like there's a low barrier to entry. You don't have to have a whole lot of experience to get into this. I'm going to give the flexibility factor here a solid 6 out of 10. All right, let's put this all together here. First, we have to talk about salary, and I gave it a 5 out of 10 because it's average. It's not great. In fact, it will be lower, even though the sites were reporting a higher salary. I'm going to guess that you will be competing with nurses in a lot of these positions, so it's going to bring down the salary. For satisfaction, I gave it a 6 out of 10 because I feel like this is very satisfying work for those of you that don't need patient relationships, for those of you who are just like, I just want to be on the phone and help people solve a problem. For demand, I gave it a 6 out of 10 because there's not a lot of jobs available and there's not a ton of them that are going to be growing over the coming years. But on the flip side, there's not a lot of competition here in this sector. And then for flexibility, I gave it a 6 out of 10 because while you may be remote and it's very easy to get into this field, you may be working a bad shift, you may be on call, which in my opinion, those aren't great for career satisfaction. This means that the Poison Control Center pharmacist career path gets a solid 6 out of 10. It's probably better in comparison to some of its other career path choices, but know that you may have some salary, issues to go through. But on the flip side, you may be very happy to be doing this work. You may be remote. You could be working with people that you love. Who knows? You need to do what is best for you. And if you're interested in this career path, I would love for you to be a part of our Inner Circle private community. It is free to join. We only accept about 10 people per week, but in this community, you're going to connect with other pharmacists on the same journey as you. This is a place where our coaching clients hang out. This is a place where other pharmacists are hanging out and helping each other discover careers that they love. We do weekly workshops where we talk about applications, LinkedIn, networking, getting job referrals, interview skills, all sorts of things that could benefit you on your career journey. If you'd like to join, please click a link below. Somewhere in the description, we'll have a link to join our community, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. Thanks for watching this video. If it was helpful, give us a thumbs up so that we know we did a good job. And if you didn't like it or thought we missed something, give us a thumbs down and let us know what we could do better in the comments so that we can make these videos better for the next generation of pharmacists. Thanks for watching this video, and until I see you in the next one, stay curious and take care.